In this episode, I want to share with you what took place as far as my reflections and also the reflections of myself and my wife after this most recent Free the Dream workshop, August 2025. Now, for those that may not be aware, the Free the Dream workshop is nothing like the Free the Dream conference. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go through the sales page as it exists today, Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. These words may be modified, they may evolve over time, but I'm going to share with you as an outline for what I want to share at the opening of this episode. Free the Dream, a 2-day experience to clear the noise, uncover what's next, and to remember the part of you that's still waiting to be lived. Now, that's a phrase that seems to be like a little flashy. It's got some buzzwords in there. And it could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. Well, first of all, it's a 2-day experience. It's not just a workshop. It is an actual experience, and it's not like any workshop you've ever attended. I can assure you of that. Now, let's go to the next line of this. To clear the noise. What does that mean? Well, it means a lot of things. Clearing the noise, when I think about that, means getting out of the normal, habitual way of thinking and feeling in your day-to-day life that is habitual, hypnotic, and if done consistently, will always get you the exact same results that you are currently experiencing as it relates to any area of your life where you desire to experience something more aligned. Whether that's in your finances, whether that's in the success of your business if you have a business, whether that's in your ability to create the lifestyle you desire in your work life, your home life, in your relationships with others, wherever, whatever area of life, if you are not experiencing how you most feel called to experience life in any area, the only way that you're going to be able to experience something different than what you're currently experiencing is you must change the thought patterns, the patterns of thought, the patterns of emotions, the way that you are thinking, the way that you are feeling. If you do not change those things, you will not change the actions that you take on a daily basis. And if you do not change the actions, you will not get the different result. You will not get the experience that you feel is missing. So for you to be able to think and feel differently, one of the things that's helpful is to get out of the environment that you're currently in. Shake up the nervous system. Go and find something new so that your brain has to focus on, oh my gosh, this isn't the same building I'm in every day. This isn't the same path I drive every day. This isn't the same perception of the sky, and this city looks a little bit different. This is a different room that I'm sleeping in if you stay at a hotel here. There's so many different valuable aspects of getting out of your environment and going into a completely new environment that will break you free, that will clear the noise of the hypnotic, habitual way of thinking and feeling. Sometimes it's not just the internal voices that are creating the noise. Sometimes it's your coworkers. Sometimes it's loving family members. Sometimes it's people in your community, in a lot of different areas of your life. Sometimes the noise is other people's opinions that you value so much, but it is noise that if you could just break free from it, even for 2 days, it could transform your life. So Free the Dream workshop is not just a workshop. It is a 2-day experience where you clear all of that noise. And when you clear all of that noise, you automatically uncover what's next. Now, many people say, Cliff, what I most want to experience is I want to experience the next right step. Well, if we could just drop the word right, let's just uncover the next step. And the whether it's right or wrong, it's an evaluation that we could talk about why it may not be best to put labels on such experiences. But one thing that's clear, you will know what to do next. It will be so obvious to you. But first, you have to clear the noise. And just simply by doing that, once you come into this environment and once you state what it is that you want, without all of the noise in your head going on against everything that you desire to experience and or who you desire to be in the world, you immediately, without all the noise, intuit. You know, gut feeling. You know what the next step is. It will come. It's guaranteed. All right, and then next, you will finally remember the part of you that's still waiting to be lived. You see, there is a quote that was associated to the original Free the Dream message. When we did this as a conference, Matt and Lauren Brady, I'm actually trying to search Boys Life. Matt and Lauren Brady were the folks who managed all of the stuff related to our conference version of Free the Dream in 2018 and 2019. They handled all of the event production. And when I was sharing the vision that Stephanie and I had for Free the Dream and the message, they asked, it was Lauren, and she says, have you ever read Boys Life by Robert McCammon? And I'm like, no, I haven't. She goes, well, I want to send you a quote because I think it's right up your alley and it's exactly what you're sharing that this is about. And everything you're saying, this quote it just drives it home. So she sent this to me. And here's the quote from Boys Life by Robert McCammon. He says, see, this is my opinion. We all start out knowing magic. We are born with whirlwinds, forest fires, and comets inside of us. We are born able to sing to birds and read the clouds and see our destiny in grains of sand. But then we get the magic educated right out of our souls. We get it churched out, spanked out, washed out, and combed out. We get put on the straight and narrow and told to be responsible, told to act our age, told to grow up for God's sake. And you know why we were told that? Because the people doing the telling were afraid of our wildness and youth, and because the magic we knew made them ashamed and sad of what they'd allowed to wither in themselves. You see, from my perspective, the way that I had described this to Matt and Lauren in those early days, I said, my understanding is that we all come into this world and we have this imagination and we can play out in the neighborhood or in the woods and we can just imagine all sorts of scenarios and we just live some most outrageous experiences. And when we're kids, we're actually told you can be anything you want in life. But then eventually we are asked maybe in the earliest days, we get asked, so what do you want to be when you grow up? And you might say, I want to be a firefighter, and I want to be a doctor, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a astronaut, and I want to be a baseball star or a football star or a basketball star. I want to be fill in the blank. And occasionally even I hear, I want to be a mermaid, right? So this is celebrated in kindergarten, maybe even first grade. But somewhere along the line, along the journey, all of a sudden, when we start saying what we want to be when we grow up, maybe it's the transition into middle school is where I see a lot of it happening. All of a sudden, some of those things that we say we want to be, we hear laughter. And then occasionally when we talk about these things as young adults, as we're preparing for our college years and those final days of high school, we're taught to be a little bit more realistic. That's not responsible. That's not the accepted norm. And eventually, we allow that part of us that's still waiting to be lived to get stuffed inside of a cage. Because if we went out and pursued that path, and this is not about your career, by the way. Free the Dream is not for entrepreneurs. Now, don't get me wrong. Entrepreneurs are attracted to Free the Dream message like nobody's business. But they bring their spouses who have no interest in their business. And their spouses often get as much, and most of the time, more than the entrepreneurs from Free the Dream, whether it's the conference or the workshop. But whatever it is, your path, your dream, your vision of this way of being in the world, more carefree, more playful, more joyful each and every day. Maybe there's some hobbies that you have that you'd like to spend more time with, or maybe there's a way of being or doing things that are completely outside of the norm, but you're afraid today of how others would perceive you if you went that direction. Who am I to experience this thing that I love so much when so many people are bound by their soul-sucking day jobs? I'm not. Why would I be worthy of that if so many other people are suffering with whatever it is? And so we keep ourselves in that part of us that wants to live a life according to our heart, our soul's expression in the world. It just gets stuck in a cage somewhere. So what is Free the Dream message overall? And now Free the Dream Workshop? It is a 2-day experience to clear the noise, to uncover what's next, and to remember that part of you that's still waiting to be lived. Now, on the sales page, I'm going down. Free the Dream Workshop is Friday and Saturday, October 17th and 18th, 2025. Stephanie and I have secured the location that we just were in, and it is now registration is now open, and you can click to register right now at freethedreamworkshop.com. It's an in-person event here in Hebron, Kentucky, in our hometown. The next thing here, it says, is this workshop for you? Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel stuck in old patterns that keep holding you back? Old patterns could be behaviors, ways of thinking, or ways of feeling. Are there any patterns that you know that are going on in your life that are holding you back? Well, this workshop would be for you. Is there a dream inside of you that hasn't made it into reality? Or maybe one you've forgotten altogether? If the answer is yes, this workshop is for you. Have you been living life on autopilot, feeling like something missing, but you can't quite name it? If you answer yes to that question, this workshop was created for you. And then the next line here, it says, entrepreneurs love this workshop because it fuels their fire. But it isn't just for entrepreneurs. It's for anyone who senses that there's more waiting to be expressed in their life, whether in relationships, career, creativity, or simply their own sense of peace and purpose. Next on the sales page, it talks about the origin story. In 2018 and 19, Free the Dream began as a high-energy 3-day stage conference with hundreds of attendees. The stories were powerful, lives changed, dreams long forgotten were reawakened. And then there's an invitation to watch the highlight reel from the conference. And I'll just play the audio from that now.
I have followed Cliff's content for a while now, and when I heard that he was going to put on Free the Dream Conference, I really wanted to come. I am leaving today inspired, encouraged to do the things that God has created me to do in this world.
Had a lot of dreams over the years, and this conference has really helped me uncover those. Some of them are deep, and some of them made me cry. Every single day got better and better, and I feel more and more inspired, and I laughed more, and I got more relaxed, and I got more comfortable with the fact that I even have dreams.
It seems like our culture is conditioned to think it's completely normal to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed, and depressed almost all of the time. It's not only accepted, but it's almost expected of us.
Couldn't have come at a better time, because I've a lot of limiting beliefs that Cliff's talks have helped me kind of work through, and realize that I can be as successful as my brain will allow me to be. And Free the Dream has allowed me to kind of break down some of those barriers that I didn't even realize I had.
It's just been so encouraging to be in an environment where other people have been experiencing the same exact thing, and it's been such a relief.
The way that we relate to the stuff of our life is actually what starts to create our intentions and our motivations.
I know already what I need to do when it comes to marketing, but there's other things that were stopping me from actually executing on that and building the business that I wanted to online. So what I've gotten from this event is how I can reprogram how I think to take the actions that I desire and I want.
Why don't we have that abundant life? An abundance of money will not cure a poverty of soul.
So if you have a dream, that's there for a reason. It's on the inside of you. You need to come to Free the Dream and just have that pulled out of you. And if you already know what it is, it's just going to help it grow and multiply.
Well, there you go. As I was watching the different clips that go along with that promo video, which, by the way, is on freethedreamworkshop.com sales page, it just reminds me, I've got goosebumps. The hairs on my arms sticking straight up. I can feel them on my legs as well. It's just like, ooh, the energy of what took place in Free the Dream Conference was unmistakably powerful. Now, continuing on the sales page for the workshop, though, it says, as attendance to the annual conference grew, something became clear. People needed more than inspiration. They needed time, space, and personal guidance to integrate these breakthroughs into their lives. They needed real conversations and not just another keynote from the stage. So the event has evolved into Free the Dream Workshop, a smaller, more intimate setting where breakthroughs happen in real time and participants leave with clarity, tools, and a renewed sense of possibility. What makes this workshop different? Unlike the conference version of Free the Dream, where multiple speakers delivered powerful talks from the stage and you left inspired but on your own to figure out how to apply everything, the workshop is, number one, interactive. Not only is there plenty of times for questions, discussions, and real coaching, it is the focus of the entire 2-day event. It's intimate. Now, here's the interesting thing. I was listening back to the audio recording from the April 2023 version of this workshop. And I shared that in a previous episode, not too many episodes back in the Cliff Ravenscraft Show feed. And one of the things that stood out to me is that I edited out something. And it was something that I had spoken and Stephanie and I had agreed upon emphatically, that after that event, we would actually limit this workshop to no more than 10 people. You know what? When I heard that as I was preparing for this session that came up this weekend, I edited that part out. If you may recall in some of my materials that I've put out about the workshop, we had mentioned that this was pay what you want and it's limited to no more than 50 people. And thankfully, we did not have 50 people attend. It was not 50 people. And I'll share with you a little bit about how the attendance registrations kind of went for a little bit. But it wasn't 10 people. It ended up with 4 attendees plus myself and Stephanie. And as a result of that, it was very intimate. And after this particular session, it became clear, moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future, each session of the Free the Dream workshop is going to be capped at 10 seats, ensuring every voice is heard. It is transformational. Real breakthroughs happen right there in the room and sometimes in minutes. Now, from the testimony right next to this section on the sales page, it says, I walked into the workshop one person and walked out another. I left fear, shame, and guilt behind and stepped into courage, willingness, and acceptance. Now, I'm going to share with you right here a testimonial that just came in from Scott Blair.
This past weekend, I was fortunate enough to have been able to attend the Free the Dream workshop in Hebron, Kentucky with Cliff Ravenscraft. Now, I went to the workshop with high expectations because Cliff is one of my coaches. Cliff has been my coach, and I already knew how great the guy was. I already had high expectations that I was going to learn something. I was very familiar with Free the Dream, and I figured it would be a lot of rehashing of material I had seen, and a lot of it I needed to revisit because I wasn't implementing it in my life like I should be. But to my surprise, Cliff made the event very customized. And what I mean by that is he got something from every individual, every attendee in the room, and at the very beginning of the seminar, and put it up on the whiteboard. He basically saying, if you could walk away with one change this weekend from these topics that we're going to talk about at Free the Dream, what would you want? What would you want to receive? What would you want to happen this weekend? And he put those up on the whiteboard. And over the next 2 days, we all got to watch one by one those changes happen, and him just check mark, draw a line through those things that we wanted to happen as they happened. And it was absolutely fascinating to watch, to experience. I have been to a lot of workshops and seminars, and I very much expected just to follow the program. The program's laid out. It's laid out in a specific and great order, great topics, and most facilitators or coaches would follow the process, and if you got lucky, take questions at the end. But Cliff made this very customizable, very personable, and didn't follow a program per se, but he allowed it to be organic and spontaneous, and whatever needed to happen, happened. And it was just a beautiful thing to watch and to experience. And there were several times, I'll tell you how much value there was. There were several times that I voiced this to them, we can shut the books right now and go to lunch or go to dinner. I have received what I needed. I have received more value than I expected. I have received more value back than the time and financial investment I made to be here. I've already been overcompensated for my investment. We can shut this down and go home, and I will not be upset. And in fact, there was one moment in the seminar that within a 3 to 5 minute period, I had a limiting belief that had been holding me back that I wasn't even aware of come to the surface. And Within a matter of a couple minutes, that limiting belief was obliterated, destroyed, and removed from my life. It was just so powerful, so exciting. If anyone has any doubts or reservations about attending this workshop, I can't recommend it enough. I will take every opportunity that I can to attend Cliff's trainings, workshops, and get coaching from him. It's been life-changing for me. It continues to be life-changing for me. I am just thankful to God that this man crossed my path, that he's been a coach and a mentor and a friend to me. And yeah, guys, it's so worth it attending. It'll blow your socks off. It's very exciting stuff. So I really hope you get the opportunity to experience Free the Dream like I did, to experience Cliff Ravenscraft like I have, and to have your life changed.
So that's what Scott Blair had to say about the experience. And I got to tell you, it is such an honor to be a part of his life, his journey. And as he said, I've been a coach for him for over the last couple of years, and he was aware of much of what was in the workbook. But what was in the workbook was just a starting point for the questions and the conversations and the unique transformations that was necessary for each person in the room. I'm going to share with you now, I'm going to transition into the reflections that my wife and I had during a walk that we recently went on Monday morning. So actually yesterday, it seems like 3 or 4 days ago, but it was yesterday. We were out for our daily walk, and our Building a Life and Business Together podcast is Stephanie and I going out for a walk and recording a conversation while on a walk. Now, I want to let you know, because of the format of that show, you're going to hear us breathing heavily. We have lapel microphones on each of us, and so as we're out for a walk for physical activity, we are huffing and puffing, okay? So just keep that in mind. I did not mention this to my wife, but during the first half of this conversation, she had a mint in her mouth, and I will just let you know there's a mint in her mouth, and you will hear that there's a mint in her mouth. I am not probably going to go and tell her that you had a mint in your mouth, and it was audible throughout the entire first half of our conversation. And those of you who are married are probably aware of why I might just leave that detail out. But I will probably, next time we go to record, I will check to see, does she have a mint in her mouth, and wait until she's finished before we move on to record. But anyway, I just want to let you know that that's the format about what you're ready to hear. But what I love about this is raw, unfiltered, unscripted. Like, this is, we had the event on Friday and Saturday, all day, both days. And then Sunday, we had a down day I went out and did some amateur radio stuff out in the beautiful, gorgeous weather we're having. Stephanie stayed back, took a nap, read a book, and just had her day. And then Monday morning, we got up, went out for a walk, and recorded our reflections with one another about what we experienced with this session of Free the Dream. And that's what you're about ready to hear here, right now.
Free the Dream Workshop 2025, or August 2025. I can't say 2025 because there's going to be multiple.
Yeah.
Initial reactions. I'm turning it over to you. Free the Dream, August 2025.
I think it went really well. I love watching people get that one breakthrough, that one thing. Like Scott, one of the guys who attended, within 2 hours, he's like, I got what I came for, and he's like, I could leave right now and it would have been money well spent. And Sarah, the wife who was, air quotes, drug here, had a breakthrough that is going to revolutionize her working environment, like completely change how she engages with people that she works with. And I love watching those. I love watching that happen. You were on fire. I love watching that happen. And I will say that I went to get lunch on Saturday, and whatever was happening with you and the whiteboard meant no sense to anyone who wasn't in the room.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It because I walk in the door and Cliff is basically saying, "Does that track? Like did that land?" And I'm like, no, but I wasn't here, so clearly I missed something. A lot of somethings.
Let me confirm something. Does that mean that you were not in the room when I said the phrase, "I have no idea what I'm about ready to say to you"? I have no idea how I'm going to tell this metaphor, but this picture just came in my mind, and I'm supposed to stand up here and draw out a thing that is going to help answer what you just asked in a profound way. And all I have is the first image, and the rest will come. So let's do this. And so you weren't there for that.
It was. Now here's the thing. I'm guessing that happened twice, because I was there when that happened for Scott, with the little Scott and the bigger Scott and the boulder and the hail.
Okay, so you were.
I was there for that one.
That's the only time that one came up. Then.
No, I was there for that. Whatever was happening on the whiteboard on Saturday when I went to lunch.
Was it the?
There was a bunch of X's and lines.
I can tell you, you will know what it was, and everything else will lock into place and it'll make perfect sense because you're aware of this metaphor. It's the guy on the island who's never perceived anything outside of the island except for the other island in the distance.
Okay.
And you set that as your destination.
Gotcha.
You dream about it since you were 16 years old.
But you get halfway there and you can see another island.
Exactly. So
gotcha.
now you know what was on the board, right?
Okay, yes. But I will tell you,
Cliff did not go to art school, let me just say.
Walking in and just looking at it, yeah, that made no sense.
We were joking. If you missed that part, you definitely missed this part, but we were joking that we could take pictures of this and I could sell prints.
Right.
Have it framed and people could put it in their living room because it was such a beautiful work of art.
Well, people were taking pictures, but I don't know why.
That's the fun part. They were the reasons why they were taking pictures
is because to them it made sense.
It made sense to them. But the funny thing is to your point, nobody else looking at that picture in their camera roll would ever know what that means.
No, you're absolutely right.
But it was a life-changing insight for several people in the room.
So I thought it was a great event. I think that the 4 people who attended got more than what they came for, as far as insights and transformations and new ideas to go home with.
Mm-hmm.
Scott lives regionally, so he lives sort of locally to Cincinnati, and so to Hebron.
Just so you know, Scott lives in Dayton, Ohio. It is a minimum of 1 hour drive from us.
That's what I was getting at.
Okay, go ahead.
I started with regionally, like I was going to say, he lives driving distance. So he drove in each day and then went home. And on Friday night, after we went out to dinner, well, I remember at dinner, you asked him what he was going to listen to on the way home, like a podcast or a book. And he's like, nah, I think I'm just going to do music and kind of is ruminate the right word? What's the
ponder?
A
noodle on.
He's like, I'm just gonna think on what happened today, and then he came in Saturday morning. He's like, oh my gosh, on my drive, I had this revelation, and so I thought it was very powerful 2 days, and that it went very well.
A couple of things that I wrote down at the kitchen table this morning before we came on this walk. This is notes for myself for the next workshop. Things that I did during this workshop that will be a part of it moving forward, a couple of announcements. And the first thing, we had the whiteboards. And whiteboards are absolutely necessary.
Yep.
And if we continue to use the library, we'll continue to have those 2 whiteboards, which is good to know.
We move out of the library, we'll purchase our own whiteboard.
Well, we have our own, we'll transport it.
Well, won't that one be too big to transport? Anyway, go ahead.
Or we could purchase whiteboards like they have at the library, you're correct. But if we do that, we would want the 2.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that I did at the beginning of this workshop is I said, I have no idea why you chose to attend this workshop. But we're going to be here all day today, all day tomorrow. And if you could ask for any miraculous outcome, like a miracle could occur for you, what is one thing you'd like to walk away with by the end of this workshop? So I asked that for each person, and I went to the whiteboard and I wrote their name, and then I wrote a dash, and then I wrote down their miracle, right? And I did that for each person in the room. I learned this process through my coaching. At the beginning of every coaching conversation.
State your intention.
Yeah, well, not even just state your intention, state your miracle. And I do not set the bar low. It's basically, in essence, I ask this question a number of different ways in coaching conversations. One way, what would you and I need to talk about today to make this a conversation you will never forget for the rest of your life? Like, today's date will be etched in your mind forever. Another way I ask this question is, what is one thing that's been keeping you up at night for the last couple nights or last couple weeks, last couple months, that if we were to solve it today, you'd sleep soundly from this day forward? Another one is, those kind of things. Or what kind of miracle? Name a miracle, something seemingly impossible that you would most want to get out of this one 90-minute conversation. Ironically, there has never been a session where we did not achieve that by the end of the call.
Right.
So one of the things I felt just inspired in the moment, it wasn't on the agenda, it wasn't on the plan, but we got started, it was time to kick off the workshop, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this. So I asked people, what's one thing that you want to accomplish by the end of this workshop that would be a miracle for you? And we wrote that down for each person. And I just let that be the guide for what we would do throughout the 2 days, right?
Right.
And
3 of the 4 were done on the first day.
Yep, 3 of the 4 were done on the first day. And I'm glad that I asked that question. You know why? Because let me share with you. So I start off by asking that question and writing down the answers, knowing what the goal of the workshop is. And then I explained that there is no intention that we will cover everything in the workbook that sits in front of you. And there's no intention that we will cover any of it in order. And what I said is that this workshop will be completely different in every session based upon the unique people who are in the group and what's going on in their minds or in their lives.
Which is set by the 4 things that are on the board.
Yep. So I said the schedule that's in front of you is an idea, but it will let you know when we plan to break for bathroom breaks. You're encouraged to ask questions and add comments of your own along the way. This is one of the benefits of this being a workshop instead of a conference on a stage. I'm not up here to give a talk. I'm here to share information. And if all of a sudden a thought comes to your mind, whether it's a question or a comment or anything, just start speaking. Don't worry about cutting me off. That's what we're here for. And that happened a couple of times, and somebody says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, throw off the session. I'm like, no, this is the session. That's right. Exactly it. So that was awesome. Oh, so no claims of absolute truth for the materials that are going to be presented to you today. Come into this with an open mind. Keep anything that resonates with you and toss out anything that doesn't feel aligned for your journey. And then success equals just one insight that will forever change your life. And I explained what that means. If you just walk out of this 2 days and just one idea, one insight shifts the way you see yourself and or the world, that is success. Yep. My guess is that you may be presented anywhere between 1 to 100 of those over the next 2 days, but it's only important in my mind that there's one standout that will equal success for you. So that's how I started, and I'm actually going to do that for every workshop moving forward.
Yeah, I really liked the way you set the tone, not the tone, but the way that you set that.
Set the expectations.
Expectations before
Pre-framed it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm glad I did it for a couple of reasons. Number one, had I not written them down, and you said, at the end of the first day, 3 of the 4 had been checked off? Even though that's the case, Scott said that his has been checked off. But I could tell when he said it He's like, yep, what I experienced this morning, just a couple of hours in, that's good enough. I'm like,
But he went so far beyond that.
He didn't use that phrase. And so when I came in the next morning, I'm like, Scott, I know we've checked this off, but I need to check in with you. I don't think this is what you meant when you got what you got yesterday. I'm not discounting its value, but I feel like you still meant something deeper than this. And that's what led to one of the...
And you found it and we went there and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other reason why I'm glad that I wrote it down, what everybody wanted, was because 2 people wanted to explore what it meant for them personally to upgrade their peer group. And ironically, had I not asked that question and written it down, I would have definitely skipped that session.
Right.
I would have definitely skipped it. It wasn't the focus of where my heart and mind was for what I think is the most valuable thing for people to walk away with. Any of them could email me and say, hey, Cliff, what about this? And I could say, just go listen to upgradeyourpeergroup.com, listen to all these episodes. If you have any questions, email me. I mean, there was so much new material, and I've spoken for decades on upgrading your peer group, and there's so much content out there. But the thing is, the number one
for 2 people
most important thing for one person was upgrade your peer group, and another person had 2 things. His most important had already been checked off the day one, but the upgrade your peer group was right there with it. So because of that, I did not skip that session.
Right.
And that's huge. Ironically, I intentionally left it for 3 p.m. on day 2, the final session of the day.
Yeah.
Because I knew for a fact, it's like, okay, I know I haven't quote unquote delivered on the most desired outcome for one participant in this group and a second desire for another one. But at 3 p.m. today, it's kind of like I stepped up to the plate, if I'm a baseball metaphor, and I just know that this is a home run. I mean, I got this one. So anyway, and it worked out. Another thing that came out of this, we had how many participants, Stephanie?
4.
Had a husband and a wife that came from Virginia, drove in. We had Scott, who drove in each day individually from Dayton, Ohio. And then we had one of my clients who flew in from North Carolina. It was a wonderful size group. We had made a decision when we first dreamed up this particular session of the workshop. We said we're going to do pay what you want. And, we didn't know what that would look like. We were thinking we're going to limit this to no more than 50 people. And we also, as a result of thinking about 50 people potentially being there, one of the things that we shifted from our previous workshops is we're not covering lunches, we're not covering dinner on Friday night. That was communicated that you're on your own for lunch, you're on your own for dinner. But I encourage you to go out to lunch and or dinner with other participants in the group. But as we're just a few days before the workshop, I reached out to everybody and said, okay, hey, plans have changed as far as meals are concerned. We recognize there are going to be a total of 6 of us, and myself and Stephanie included. And we are going to have lunch brought in. Stephanie and I will be covering that. And we are going to go out to dinner as a group, and Stephanie and I are going to cover that. We confirmed that everybody was available to join us for dinner that night, and we also got some coffee, tea, and beverages for everyone for the 2 days of the event. So with all of that being said, and if you throw in the workbooks, by the end of the workshop, we pretty much broke even.
Yep.
Now, there may have been $300 profit if I wouldn't have made the decision to purchase 25 more workbooks for $300, but still, those workbooks are there for the future. Looking back, I'm like, if I would have just not ordered those, we would have had plenty of workbooks, and I could change the layout of the workbook. But my question to you, Stephanie, is the workbook as it existed for April 2023, which is the same one we used this time, was it a hindrance at all?
Absolutely not. And I think that because each workshop is going to be unique to the attendees, because it will be a different feel, it'll be a different vibe, there'll be different expectations set when we begin. I think that using these 25 or whatever, you should be making your notes and your changes as you go.
Yep.
So that it doesn't come time to reorder them and then you're scrambling
to redesign
it and remember what you wanted to, like the part that's in third person.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think that it's a hindrance, because this workbook is kind of, it's based off the workbook for the conference, correct?
7 of the sessions in the book are from my talks from the conference, yes.
Okay. Even though you're not covering every session that is in the workbook, because we're setting the intention ahead of time, I don't think it's bad for all of that information to be in the book so that the person can look through it on their own, or whatever.
Yeah, because that's one of the
maybe they will see something that will spark something that they didn't think when they came in with their intentions.
Absolutely.
I think the workbook is fine the way that it is for that reason, with all of the sessions, even though we're not covering them all. And you will make your changes and your modifications as we go, so that the next printed workbook is more aligned with the most frequently requested
outcomes.
miracles. Yes.
I like it. There are, let me see, I wrote this down here. First and foremost, we have already scheduled the same location, same venue. By the way, the library was perfect. It was perfect for us in April 2023. It was even more perfect for us this time because we actually only chose to open up A and B.
B and C.
Thank you. B and C. We only chose to open up B and C, whereas last year we reserved all A, B, and C. And A is a section that has a stage, and you could literally put the maximum occupancy in the whole area is 388 people.
Yeah.
However, putting that divider wall between B and C and A, it just made it feel more appropriate.
It's more cozy.
It was more cozy. Yeah. It was more, we could have easily put 50 people in there, no problem at all.
Yeah.
But with the way that we knew that we were going to be 6 of us, we set up tables, and it had just the right margin in that side of the room. And we put the Keurig and soft drinks and stuff like that on the opposite side. It was just perfect.
Yep.
So that was really good too.
Also, it was good that so this is just me noticing. Number one, I have a hard time sitting for a while, for long periods of time. So there's plenty of room for me to stand and be out of the way and not a distraction. And that wasn't just me. One person had a problem with sciatica and had to get up and move around a little bit. One person had a hip replacement, had to get up and move around. And there was room to do that and not be a distraction.
Yep. So we've chosen our dates for our next session, and that is October 17th and 18th. And we chose Friday and Saturday. FreeTheDreamWorkshop.com is the place where you go to register if you'd like to participate in our next workshop. It is still going to be pay what you want. I've already spoken that several different places on live streams and in podcast episodes. Time will tell if we continue to do pay what you want, but at least for this October session, it is definitely pay what you want.
Right.
And yes, that does mean if you want, you can go and check out for free and attend for free. We will not think of you any differently as anyone else. If you're meant to be there, you're meant to be there, and whatever you choose to pay is whatever you choose to pay, and it is the right amount.
Yep.
So October 17th and 18th, and I will make sure that before this episode gets published, the checkout page is updated. Now, here are some changes to this next workshop. This session that we just completed was limited to no more than 50 participants. This next session in October,
10.
Limited to 10. The reason for that is, Stephanie, share some of your thoughts on why we chose 10.
Well, I think that with the workshop, we're definitely looking for a more intimate, transformative environment.
Which basically is another way of saying it could be as intimate as it was in April of 2023 and the one we had this past weekend.
Right.
We experienced the level of intimacy that we envisioned and dreamed of when we first thought about going from a conference to a workshop. And it is very clear that the level of intimacy and connection and bond that was being made in the room, the energy that was in the room was exactly what we envisioned, and we knew for a fact you could not do that with 25 to 50 people.
Yes, it's going to be more workable to hit everyone's miracles with 10 or less people than it would be in a room full of 50.
Yep.
It would take half the day just to write down everyone's intention. You know what I mean?
It would take at least 30 minutes. Yeah. It would exactly. But the other things that stand out for me is I like the fact that we didn't break for lunch and lose an hour and a half of the day for people to go out and
Well, we did break for lunch in that we stopped teaching, but the conversation flowed about what we had already discussed.
Yes, but the idea is that with up to 50 people,
they would go out.
We'd send them out, and that would be an hour and a half to allow them to get to a lunch destination, be served, have lunch, and then wrap up, and then get back, use the bathroom, and then everybody's back in time to start the next session. That would have been an hour and a half out of the day.
Both days, and with the limited number of hours, that's too much to sacrifice.
Exactly. And so, as a result, we ordered lunch in. We had Jimmy John's delivered on the first day, on Friday. And then you took everybody's Chipotle order on Saturday and made sure that it was made properly for each person.
Yep.
And that is something that we can do with 10 people. And somewhere along the lines of 20 or plus, that's just not as doable. So the intimacy is the number one thing.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm not saying we couldn't have an incredibly awesome kick butt workshop with 25 to 50 people. And I'm not saying there will never be a day where there will be that many people at a workshop. Not saying that at all. But currently, moving forward, at least for this October session, and maybe for several sessions, we will limit it to 10 for the reasons we're discussing right now. Because for lunch, we could cater in. We don't have to take individualized orders. We can cater and just note people's food preferences, much as we did in the past for our building and online business workshops.
Yes.
So that's a possibility. The additional thing that comes to my mind is taking everyone out to dinner and having a relaxing evening with the small intimate crowd that's there. It was us, the two of us, and 4 participants. And I think we could have still had that vibe and gone to the same place and had a very similar experience if there were 10 participants for a total of 12, a party of 12.
We've done that.
I know we have.
For building an online business, I don't remember how many attendees were there.
14. You said it was the session with Chris Nelson that we had 14 that time.
Okay, so it was 14. And you and I know McKenna went with us.
Yeah.
I don't recall the other 2 being there.
So we know,
but I'm sure they probably were.
Yeah. So we know that with 10 attendees, we can pull it off and go to dinner, and have a great experience. But it just clearly breaks down somewhere around 15, 20 plus. So there's going to be a limit of 10 participants in this October session. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, that was the conversation that Stephanie and I had about the workshop. Honestly, I edited that yesterday, and I remember the conversation after we had it even as I was editing it. And I know the things that we shared, but I did not just now re-listen to it in real time as you just heard it. So I'm about a day removed from what you just heard. But here's what I know. Stephanie and I shared some of the aspects about this workshop. Number one, yes, a limit of 10 people is the right number. the ability for 10 people to specifically state what their miracle is at the beginning of the workshop. What is one thing you most want to experience as a result of being here in this workshop? And it can be a miracle. It can be something that you think that might even be impossible. Whatever it is, whatever your desire, your number one thing that's most important to you. And to have 10 participants plus myself and Stephanie in the room, so 12 of us in the room, but I want to actually get the answer to that question for up to 10 people. It will be written on the whiteboard. And the 2 days of that workshop will be focused on making sure that every single one of those 10 things gets achieved. And it's just going to be amazing. You heard it, Scott. Scott's like, dude, I saw what people were writing down, and there's so much more to it that Scott did not go into. Obviously, he's like he had 2 days of an experience and tried to keep his testimonial short for the podcast. So it is an amazing thing, and it's something that can really only happen with a smaller group. And there was a reason why in April 2023, we came out of that workshop and said, I think we're going to limit these to 10 people. And then for some reason, I get 2 years removed from it and I'm like, we don't need to limit it to 2 people. But we had 4 people come this time. And as a result of that, it was very clear. It's like, oh my gosh, we were able to experience the same kind of thing we experienced in April 23. Now, the interesting thing is we used the exact same workbook as April 23. And you know what? This workshop wasn't anything like the April 2023 workshop. It was absolutely a different workshop. Now, were there a few sessions from the workbook that we went through that we actually covered in both sessions? Yes. What was written in the workbook, the parts that we read from the workbook, the outline that we went through in the workbook, identical. But the questions and conversations and the way that navigated in each session, so diametrically different and uniquely guided by exactly what was going on in the hearts and minds of the attendees in April 2023 compared to the attendees of August 2025 was so radically different that they are just nowhere near the same. And that is the organic nature of what we are committed to continuing to experience in the Free the Dream workshop. And it's why at least for the foreseeable future, we are capping this to no more than 10 participants. And also, it does allow us to have a nice dinner out on Friday evening or the first night of the event. I shouldn't say it's always Friday, but it's usually going to be Friday, Saturday for the foreseeable future, probably. But anyway, that first night, all 12 of us, let's just say, going out for dinner together and having potentially one big, large table. That's what we want to experience. That's what we want to continue to happen. So that is definitely a thing. Yeah. So what you'll experience, I've already shared in previous episodes related to Free the Dream message, what kind of content is there. If you want to see, there's an exact list of every session that's currently in the workbook. And it also has a description of what the purpose of it is and the desired outcome for you to experience as a result of it. You can read that list at freethedreamworkshop.com. But right below it, it actually says this: each workshop unfolds uniquely, shaped by the collective energy and needs of those in the room. Additional topics, tools, and frameworks may be introduced beyond what's listed here, ensuring every session serves the exact group of attendees present. Now, that is absolutely true. I bring so many different tools, frameworks, and strategies that I have used in my coaching for the past 2 decades, and that's not all in the workbook. So sometimes I'm teaching something that's not in the workbook, but it comes specifically as an answer to somebody's question that just came up, that had just arisen. So we go on a little detour outside of the workbook. And not every session that's in the workbook gets covered. We talked about that with Stephanie. I talked about that with Stephanie. Anyway, you heard Scott. JR and his wife, Sarah Lawhorn, were there, and they said this: Free the Dream exceeded our expectations. Cliff and Stephanie guided us to examine how our beliefs are formed and gave us practical tools to strengthen what still serves us and to release what doesn't. The intimate group size created meaningful, individualized breakthroughs. If you're considering it, go. This can be a catalyst that changes your life. Now, as I said in my conversation with Stephanie, we are definitely committed for the October session on October 17th and 18th. It is still going to be a pay what you want event. Matter of fact, it says, what is the investment? For every workshop we've hosted in the past, there's always been a set ticket price. For this session of Free the Dream Workshop, we're trying something new. Pay what you want. That means there is no fixed ticket price, no minimum required, not even $1. Yes, you can attend for free if that's what feels right for you. We're holding this session in full trust that those who feel called will come, trust that provision flows when presence leads, and trust that the right people will know exactly what to give, whether it's nothing at all or an abundant contribution. What matters most is that you feel the yes, a deep, resonant, cellular yes, that you should be there. Now, we added something else down here. The changes is that we are including meals. So when you come to the workshop, there'll be coffee and beverages there for you throughout the day. There will be lunch brought in, and that is covered by us, and that's both days. And we will go out to dinner together at a restaurant as a group, and that also will be fully covered as well. And so with that, some questions had come up from previous folks, and they said, how much should I choose to pay? And we've added a new answer to that frequently asked question. And it says, we've intentionally removed the fixed ticket price for this session. So you can give whatever feels right for you. Some people simply need to receive right now. Others feel a deep desire to give generously. If it helps to have a frame of reference, when we factor in the cost of the workbook, all of the meals, and all other materials, it works out to about $200 per participant for us to simply cover expenses. That doesn't include any compensation for our time or the value of the workshop itself. It's just a baseline for us to break even. But ultimately, this isn't about a formula. We trust you to choose the amount that resonates with you and your season. What matters most is that you feel the yes. So that is what's been going on over here. What an incredibly powerful experience. And I said that I would mention how things worked out. So here's a little story time to wrap a bow on this episode. And that is that when we started this out, I'm like, hey, we've got about 6 weeks to market this thing. And we haven't talked about this in 2 years. So let's just see what happens. We'll open it up. We'll remove the ticket price, remove any barriers or excuses for people. And those who come will come. And everything is going to work out exactly the way it's meant to work out. And we put a limit of 50 attendees on there. Now, again, I want you to know that decision was made before I re-listened to the recording from April of 2023. Now, when I came back and did that episode and shared that with you a couple weeks ago, I did edit out the part where it said, we're going to limit it to 10 people because we had already opened it up to 50 people. Well, how it started out was one person immediately reached out and says, Cliff, I heard about your workshop. I'm thinking about attending. And I reached out as soon as I had the details. And he immediately reached out and says, Cliff, I'd like to ask you a question. I see that you're doing pay what you want. Do you mind if I go ahead and register for the workshop for free? And then once I've attended, I'll come home and then I'll decide what the value is that I received, and I can pay you then. And he says, is that okay? And I said, well, of course it's okay. And there's no expectation that you'll pay us anything at the end. You can come for free. But yes, to answer your question, sure, that's fine. If that feels aligned for you, then by all means, be here. And then right after that, J.R. Lawhern and his wife Sarah registered for the event. So it was the three of them registered for the event. And then about a week went by and there's nothing. Now, I'm talking about this randomly throughout my live streams, and then all of a sudden, the first person who registered, who said, can I pay for this after I've determined the value? He's like, hey, I just want to let you know I went ahead and registered, and I've already booked my flight and my hotel. I've got 24 hours to cancel this. And I've noticed that you said, you're thinking, up to 50 people. So far, it's been about a week or so, and you've only got 3 people registered. Is there any chance that if you don't get enough people that you'll cancel this? Let me know, because if you let me know now, I can go ahead and cancel my flight and I'll get all my money back. So I wrote back immediately to this person. I said, there is no chance whatsoever that this workshop will be canceled. If it's just you and these 2 other people, it will be the most amazing experience. It will be exactly what it's supposed to be. And so he said, okay. So he went ahead and stayed registered. About another week or so went by. I get a text message from my friend Scott Blair, who you just recently heard from at the beginning of this episode. And he says, hey, I'm down here in Mexico on a trip, and when I get home, I intend to sign up for your workshop. So he would be the 4th person to sign up. And so on that Monday, I get another email from the first person who registered. And he says, Cliff, I just wanted to see if I could get an update on how many people are registered for your event. And I said, well, currently there are 3. It's you, a married couple, and I have a 4th person who is likely to sign up this week. He's been in Mexico, and he plans and intends to sign up this week. So it's very likely that there will be 4 attendees, if not more, if people sign up over this next week and a half. And I said, is there any chance, can you tell me, I'm curious. Why are you curious about the number of people? And he wrote back and he says, Cliff, when I signed up thinking that there'd be up to 50 people, I thought maybe it'd be large enough that I can kind of just fit in the crowd, and I wouldn't have to be singled out or called on to answer uncomfortable questions in a small group. And with it being such a small group, I know you would never pressure anyone to share, but at the same time, it would be weird for me not to in such a small, intimate gathering. And so that's a concern for me. And so I responded to him without any judgment, without any persuasion one way or the other. And I just told him, I said, choose whatever decision makes sense for you. And so the next day, he reached out to me and says, I'm not coming. I want to withdraw my registration. So he did. And then right after that, Scott signed up, and he was our now new 3rd person. And he was the 4th person to register, but now we have 3 people attending the event. And then after that, I had a one-on-one coaching conversation with one of my current paid clients, and he says, Cliff, I've been thinking about your workshop, but I just haven't been able to make the decision. Am I going to go or am I not going to go? It's kind of a last-minute thing. And I said to him, listen, if you decide Thursday afternoon that you want to come and you fly in or drive in Thursday night and you show up Friday morning, that's perfectly fine. I say, and you don't have to let me know ahead of time. But if you do know ahead of time, I would love to have you register over at freethedreamworkshop.com. That way I know to ask you questions related to what beverages and things like that, because we are actually going to end up buying lunches and dinner and soft drinks for everyone because it is a much smaller crowd that we can do that. And he says, okay. So we ended up having him as our fourth person. And it was so delightful. It was such a wonderful experience. And it was just amazing. And so if there's anything that you're hearing from this workshop is not for Stephanie and I to grow this into some sort of massive, huge audience kind of thing. In fact, my own desire, we're already doing one. This was August 25th and 26th, or 29th and 30th. That's what it was. It was August 29th and 30th, the one we just did. We're already doing our next one on October 17th and 18th. And I'm already thinking, do I also want to do this in November? And do I also want to do this in December? And the answer right now, I'm leaning towards yes. And it doesn't matter to me if these all have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 participants. It does not matter to me. So, freethedreamworkshop.com. Register today. I look forward to investing in your 2-day experience where you will clear the noise, uncover what's next, and remember that part of you that's still waiting to be lived.